All right, Tyler. Tyler, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky. It's where the University of Kentucky is.
hmm Tell me about your family.
My father is a veterinarian, an equine veterinarian. He works with horses. I have a sister, and now my mom and father have remarried, and I have two stepbrothers, but very supportive on both sides. Uh, they live in they're kind of spread out. My sister works in Texas as a physician's assistant, and then my father's still in Kentucky, and my mother's in South Carolina.
Sounds like a good family.
Yeah, I have a great family. Yeah,
You had a good childhood.
I did.
How'd you end up down here?
Well, I went to the University of Kentucky. I graduated in 2008, and I went to law school at the North Chase College of Law at Northern Kentucky University. And during the time that I was in law school, I was in a car accident, and I got addicted to prescription painkillers. And since then, I've been on and off of them, but I was on Suboxone for about 5 years. And about a year ago, I relapsed onto the fentanyl, and just that's where, by the nature of my routine, it's like I come down here to pick up, and it's like I found myself spending more and more time down here, into where it's like it's just the lifestyle. It's scary how fast it can grab a hold of you.
That's such a common way for people to get addicted.
Mm-hmm.
Starting out with your painkillers and
Yeah, it's crazy when you look at the comparison of how it was during that time to now. I think now it's they can't even write a prescription for more than 3 days at a time. So even if someone who's on maintenance for, say, like a Lortab or a Percocet, the doctor in some states will have to actually write like 10 3-day prescriptions for them, paper, if they have a 30-day script.
yeah, they've clamped down on that.
Versus back then, they would give you like 60 pills with 3 refills on it and not think anything of it, And it's just really sad, like that. But I don't know.
Did you have moments where you were clean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's like I've been. I was on. I went about 4 to 5 years without any type of relapse at all. Not too long ago, or yeah, right before up into from 2016 to 2021. I wouldn't say I had brief periods of sobriety during that time where I was completely sober, but I had other slips with like alcohol and things like that. But as far as opiates, I was completely off opiates during that whole time, with no slips or anything like that.
That was before fentanyl came into the picture?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are there addicts in your family?
I have not with the painkillers. There's some alcoholism, and maybe on my mom's side, like a little bit, and then there may be I have like an uncle or two on maybe my father's side, but not really. Nobody's really has had issues with drugs like I have, yeah, no.
Where do you live now? Where do you stay?
I had been staying at the tiny home community in Westlake, but as of like the last couple of months, I've just been on pretty transient. Like I just kind of like go wherever if I'll fall asleep. I'll sleep a lot of times, like at the train station, and like I don't know. I'm really trying to get a hold of things, but it's just like I feel like it's just there's a lot of times that I just can't believe that what like the shambles my life is in. But I am hopeful that I'll be able to pull things together and get things going.
It's gotta be so difficult for you to go from going to law school to living the classic homeless drug addict lifestyle now.
It really is, and I feel like that. Especially like I think things are going so really well for me too last year. I don't know what possessed me to like. I don't know what possessed me. Like I that's the thing with fentanyl that people I think is really it's misunderstood in so many ways because even the people I think that do it don't realize that how powerful of a drug it is, and like it's like because back I remember when. Suboxone, I guess back when I was, had first kind of got into the prescription pills. Obviously, with the prescription pills, that you know what they are 100%. And but to say if you couldn't, the Suboxone was strong enough that where say you wanted to get off the prescription pills, you could take like half of Suboxone and you feel no illness or whatever. And with the fentanyl, it's a longer acting. It's because it's a designer opioid. and it's not an actual traditional opiate, I guess. But it's so much. The Suboxone also provides a blockade effect for. So say that you taking your Suboxone is directed for like a couple weeks and it builds up in your system. You can't get high off heroin. You can't get high off Oxycontin or whatever. But the fentanyl's so strong you can actually use with it. And it's I've seen they've done some research on it as far as like Suboxone having much greater or much lesser effect at curbing the usage of fentanyl. But it's just this is a totally different beast. And I think that's the way it's designed. And that's another thing too is that. All the stuff that people are using on the streets. It's not the same fentanyl that they have like in the operating room. It's all designer drugs and analogs and stuff like that. So it's like people don't. It's really.
I heard there's lots of inconsistencies. In it too.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 37 now.
37.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been living this life or some form of it for how long?
About a year now. I'd say before, and it's not like everything was going like great before it, but like I say. I'd say I've been on a downward up until 2020, right around the time the pandemic started. That's I was pursuing like professional bodybuilding. I weighed about 220. I'd say since then to now, where I weigh like less at like 155 is like the least I've weighed. Like I can't ever remember weighing that light, and it's like so I'd say yeah, that's really like I'm not gonna blame the pandemic, but that's just kind of when things started to go south. I was doing really well prior to that. I was working I was selling solar panels, and I was living in South Carolina for a little while, and that's I moved back here right around this time that the pandemic started.
So law school and bodybuilding, and now you're here. Are you a bit of an overachiever or type A personality?
Yeah, I would say so. And that's why I haven't really been pursuing the law in a professional capacity, but I do feel like that it's a great education, and it's universally applicable, and it's still it benefits. There's a lot of benefits with it. More recently, like my goals now, I actually do have a clothing company called Skulls and Diamonds, and I've been I have an LLC, and like I have been doing pretty well with that. We're trying to get things going with that, but it's obviously it's been on the back burner, but I haven't given up 100% with.
How does this change in your life affect you emotionally?
It's really difficult. I feel like in a lot of ways, like I just get so I try to always, keep a good what's the word perspective. But it's like it's really the things that crushes me is just knowing what I do to like my mom, like and my other family. Like I don't. And I know that like I should have my priorities and like I need to worry about myself, but like it just breaks my heart the way that she has to see what I go through. That's the worst thing for me. Like and there are a lot of times where I just like wonder, it's like how did I get to this point? But it's like, but on the other hand, like I try to keep it. It could be really easy for me to get overwhelmed and just be like. Totally down on myself, and I don't want to make excuses and say that everything I'm doing is okay, but I do try to look at the silver lining and think about there has been some good, and maybe God put me in this position for a reason. I know that without any exaggeration, I can think of it right off the top, 5 people's lives I've saved within the last year being around, and in a couple of those instances where people didn't want to try to help them. It's like seeing someone overdose. And they're afraid that like if they call the 911, the police are going to come or whatever. But I'm proud of. I've given probably 3 or 4 people CPR and administered Narcan. So that's like conservative. I know I can think. I know there's more than that. But like, and then also like I hope that I can get through this and be a source of inspiration for other people and really like I feel like a lot of the knowledge I've gained and perspective I've gained, you maybe couldn't get it any other way than to go through it yourself. And so that's kind of like the hope I have. I know I need to put action behind it, but yeah, but to answer your question, it's really, really difficult emotionally. And it's just like, it's been difficult for sure.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't have any kids.
No kids. You been in love or anything like that?
What's that?
Have you been in love before?
Yeah. That's kind of, I think, kind of like what kind of kick-started this spiral. I was in a really serious relationship in South Carolina right before the pandemic started, and we had a condo like right on the beach, and like we were going to the gym, and like And I think that's kind of been like since the me and her had separated. I haven't really I hadn't had much interest in dating, and I think that I don't know, that's definitely, it's been a contributor, I think, but yeah, I have been in love, to answer your question. Yeah.
Do you still have contact with your family?
Yeah, I do, and I talk to, right now I don't have a phone. I know people hear that like it's so insane, it's crazy, but like I don't have a phone, and like but when I have a phone, I'll call my mom every day, and but I don't have any types of there's no what I'm trying to say. I don't have any resentments or problems with my family at all. I haven't been there to visit in a while, but yeah. So it's also
are they aware of your situation?
Yeah, they are. I've been thinking about going into. Have you heard of ibogaine before?
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about going to do the ibogaine, and I'd been. I found that's my hope. I'm hoping that can kind of help with getting through the situation, helping out with the situation. But that's something I'm looking at on the horizon.
Does the fentanyl addiction make you feel hopeless? At times?
It does in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways, I think that one of the biggest pitfalls about this lifestyle is that it gives the user some sort of a sense of a purpose and same sense in the way that somebody who's going to work to have their task for their job, and it's you go out here and people get their little money together, and then they get their money together. It's like you have a little. It's crazy as it sounds. You get your own little routine going, and so where it's somebody who maybe feel, and I know it's not any type of there's no betterment with this. It's all destructive, but at the same time, it's it keeps you busy, in the sense where it's a distraction, I guess. From
what does your typical day look like?
Typical day, right now, I'll get up pretty early and I'll go out, and sometimes I'll go, hold up a sign, ask for change, or I'll go maybe do a little odd job, or do something to try to make a little money, and then go get high and try to. Well, that's the thing. I think not having a phone is really, it just allows you to make excuses to yourself. It's I'm sorry, I'm kind of stumbling over my response because I'm trying to answer you as honestly as I can without making excuses and trying to. Sugarcoat it.
It's hard because sometimes you're going to be so desperate for your drug that you're going to do things that are just beyond.
Yeah. That's for sure. That's for sure. It's just it's true. It is true. It's not. And the thing that's crazy about it is you got probably, I don't know if the figures are, but hundreds of thousands of people with that same mindset, and I'm a pretty compassionate person, but I've done things as far as that I'm not proud of, and but there are people out here that's just so cutthroat. Like last night, I typically not too long ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got beat up with baseball bats. 2 people with baseball bats, and they could have, if they would have just asked me to take my stuff, I would have given. I had at the time I had accrued, I had a laptop I had purchased, and I had a bat and backpack. I had a couple of things, and they beat me. They could have killed me, I think, and because they kept hitting me after I told them to stop. They took my jacket off me, they took my hat off me, and they took my laptop and all that. But I was just couldn't believe it because they were so young that did that. But what was I saying? What was the question you asked?
Just what kind of things have you done to?
Oh yeah. And then I would never do that to harm somebody. But I've done things as far as I don't want to incriminate myself, but just
boosting.
Yeah.
No, everybody's boosting.
Yeah.
What's your biggest fear now?
My biggest fear is if something were to happen to I just worry about my mom. Her health is not that great. Just to think that I'd be contributing to her negative health, because she worries about me so much. It makes me feel so bad, but I haven't talked to her in a couple of weeks. If something were to happen to her, and I hadn't spoken to her, I don't know. I don't. I feel that's my biggest fear, and also what makes me feel just so bad is just to think that I think it's one thing to be absent from your family and to just not be around to support, but to be actively causing damage and to be a bad source of. It's so bad. I mean, it's so bad that I think there's been times that we've had conversations where I've told her just to like, I don't know, like I can't. That's my biggest fear though. Is if something were to happen to someone in my family where I had been neglectful of the relationship, and like to think that I was something it's caused them, just the fact that caused them any type of pain or suffering or worry, and it's just like that's like it's a big motivation for me to get things together, but it's difficult.
If you had your life to live all over again, what would you have done differently?
I don't think I would be a lot more wary of, and I'm not gonna put any blame onto doctors or whatever but like I feel like the way that I always had this ideal like that if it came from a doctor it's just there's nothing wrong with it, like it's like I know that when I first did like Adderall and like it's an amphetamine, but I was like, oh, I remember when I was younger and like we're trying it was like, oh, this is ADD medicine, they give it to kids so thinking it's harmless or like, but I'd just be a lot more wary of any type of like synthetic chemical substance, and I think that I've taken so much for granted. Just as, I would be a lot more mindful of how good that the things were, and then also just but as far as I guess just trying. It's hard to think about how I would do things with the perspective without having gained the experience. So in a way, I feel like that.
You've learned from all your mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. So it's hard to say like what like I would do. I guess that's the biggest thing though is that because my mom's like that. She doesn't take she refuses to take any medication or anything like that. And like I think just adhering to that. I guess listen to my mom more probably. That's the best way I could sum it up.
Yeah. And Tyler, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
That no matter what the situation is you're in, someone else always has it worse than you, and no matter what you've done or are doing, that you can always be of help to someone. And I think that's the source, that's the solution to a lot of issues that people have, I think. And it's also it's a benefit to others, but it's just that when what should I say, that to be that no matter what type of position you're in, you can always help someone who's less fortunate than you.
All right, Tyler, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Sure.
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.